Hey girl, hey! I am Jamia Ponder, host and creator of The Mrs. Beside, a safe space dedicated to the real ones standing beside and never behind. Girl, this life ain't no joke. It's time, let's air it all out. Trust me, I understand. Whoo child, I know it's a lot. All right, welcome back, everybody. On our show today, we have the one and only, the incomparable Miss Jennifer McDade. Yes, cheer for yourself, sis. Cheer for yourself. I am absolutely elated to have her on the show. So thank you so much for being here, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Yeah. So just as a little brief overview, Jennifer and I met each other online, but we actually met each other in person as well. And it was a mutual interest group. And I remember when Jennifer and I met each other, we were sitting down and having drinks and appetizers, and she kept calling me Jamie. And I was like, you know what? I really like this lady, but my name's not Jamie. So I'm going to have to let her know. And so I did. And she was just like, well, damn. Okay. I mean, okay. All right. Got it. I will not be calling you Jamie anymore. So just a little quick backstory. But Jennifer, please tell everybody a little bit about yourself and, any other pertinent details you'd like to share.
Okay. Jamia. I remember that day in particular because that was the first day we met in person. Mm-hmm. And I know I kept calling you Jamie. And we were sitting at the bar, and even the bartender, because you were like, look, Heffa, my name is Jamia. Like, okay.
I'm sure I said it nicer than that. I'm sure.
Yes, but you said it like, you know what? My name is Jamia, and I want to get you straight. And cool, but I just want you to not call me Jamie. So, and I actually thought that was like really nice and bold of you to give me straight. So, but let's see. What can I say about myself? I am an older mom of 3 young children. Wiser mom, not older.
That's correct.
And I am a former school teacher. I taught 20th century literature to high school children. Mm-hmm. I also used to case manage children with special needs. And I did that for about 20 years. Mm-hmm. Then I got married, had children late in life, and I retired from teaching. And I remember the day I retired. It was August. And it was probably one of the hardest and saddest days of my life. Because that's all I knew. All I knew was independence, going to work, making my own money, doing my own thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, I got to now quit my job that I depend on and depend on a man. And that was not me. And I was like, oh, shit, I don't think I can do this. And so then I stopped teaching. I remember grappling with that decision, got married, had children, and life turned out pretty good. I must say so myself. I think I found some surprising things about myself. Mm-hmm. And let me go back and retract this because I became a mom biologically when I was in my 40s. But my sister passed away early in life, and she was in her 30s. Mm-hmm. And I ended up raising her daughter. And she was 4 years old at the time. So I raised her from 4. And today she is 24, I think, 24, 25. Wow. So that was my first experience at being a mother. And it's so funny because sometimes you're like, I had in my mind that I was going to be a school teacher. This was going to be my career. I was going to be the shit. Everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, Jennifer is successful. I have a master's in education. I have a master's in special ed. And it's so funny how life works out because although all those years I was a teacher, I think the best job that I've ever had in my entire life is being a mother. And it's almost like, and I know this is going to sound cliche as fuck, but I feel like this was like my job. This is what I was destined to be. And it's hard as fuck. Yeah. So, yeah.
They say it's the hardest and most rewarding job that one can ever have.
That's some bullshit. It's hard as fuck. It's a rewarding, yes. It's absolutely rewarding that these people came out of your belly and you have to now take care of them for literally the rest of their lives. Right. So it doesn't end at 18. But
it's kind of depressing, though.
it is rewarding, but let's be real. It's hard as fuck. And if it's not hard, at the end of the day, if you're not like, I'm tired as fuck, I really just want to go away on an island and be by my damn self, you're not doing something right, because, I'm exhausted. And I can say that as an older mom. I didn't have kids into my 40s. And it's different. So, I always get asked the question, do you have any regrets? Because people see me now as a stay-at-home mom. People see stay-at-home moms as the kept woman.
Mm.
I kept?
Wait.
Keeping this shit together.
Right. But so I need to go back just a little bit, because I don't want to brush over this. Why did you quit teaching? Because I heard in sequential order, like you quit teaching and then you got married.
Right.
So
yeah. So the school year ended in June. I need to give my supervisor notice by August if I was going to return for September.
Mm-hmm.
When I got married, I married someone that was well off financially and well known in their career, well established. And we knew, because I was older, that we needed to have children right away. And having children right away for an advanced maternal age mother was going to be a little difficult for me. And my school where I was teaching was really far. It was at least an hour drive every day. And it was quite stressful. So I was dealing with, special needs children on a daily basis. And not to say that, special needs children are difficult, because they're not. But it was just a lot of stress. And so, and it was in a neighborhood that was wealthy and well off. It was not Chicago public school system, because I would not have been able to do that. It's not my personality. So we sat down and we talked about it. And he thought that, at this time I could really give it up and everything was going to be okay, that we would sell off into La La Land and everything would be great. And yeah, well, we in La La Land, everything is great. Mm-hmm. So, but being the person that I am and giving up what I thought was my independence was really difficult for me, because historically we believe that stay-at-home moms, you don't have a job, that you are going to be completely dependent upon someone else. And that's not who I am. I just the thought of it gave me hives. I think because I'm not that person, it didn't go that way. And because I will sue you and get my just due. But
So part of the reason I want to make this known, part of the reason that I asked and I'm so glad to have you here is because you are one of the few people, not few people, because I know a lot of people, right? But one of the people who I can honestly say will speak their mind. And one of the things that I sort of talked about in this season 1 overview was about sort of releasing restrictions that we have placed on ourselves. And one of those things is the filter of having to always monitor what we say, right? And I think more specifically as Black women, having to always monitor what we say so we're not the angry Black woman type of a thing. But getting beyond, so quitting your job and being like a stay-at-home mom comes with a certain level of, people's ideas and opinions of that. Like, oh, she married, this person who's well off and now she just gets to, mooch or stay at home. Nice to just, have babies and be home and that kind of a thing. So how do we as either, as women, period, whether you're older or younger, to some degree, people struggle with releasing other people's ideas and in a sense, living uncensored. Like, I don't care what you think about my situation because you don't live here every day. Okay. You don't pay these bills. You're not in this marriage and that kind of a thing. So how did you get to that point? Some people are born that way, but others grow to become that way.
So I think that my entire life, I really, before it became cliche, I really have had the fuck you attitude. And that encompasses not that I'm mean, I'm angry. It's just that I have to be responsible for me. I cannot allow anyone else to put judgment or prejudices on me that will impact me being authentic to myself.
Yeah.
And it's ironic because, as I said earlier, we had this conversation in our home last Saturday. And so I am rather outspoken. And
I never got that. Sweet.
Yeah. So, and it's not me being portrayed as an angry Black woman. I don't believe that I come across that way. And if I do come across that way, then I simply say, fuck you. It does, because it does not impact me. And who I am today is the same person I was yesterday, and the same person I'm going to be tomorrow. But so the experience, last Saturday, we were out and we decided to stop in a neighborhood that was unknown to us to pick up a watermelon off of a truck because they good. And so my husband was speaking to the gentleman that was selling the watermelon, and my daughter noticed that he had changed his tone. And she said, I saw on NPR that, because she's a bookworm, she said, I saw on NPR that this was called code switching. And I'm like, well, hot damn, baby, it is. And she's like, so why did you change your tone when you were talking to that man? Why did you change your dialect? And so they went into this conversation, and she thought it was not being authentic. So I explained to her my thought process, just for myself, how it relates to me is I grew up around a bunch of, I was a minority in growing up. I grew up in a time where civil unrest was the norm. And they are being raised in a similar area and in a way that I was. And so their exposure to African-American culture is of a minimal. And that is a whole nother subject, because that's a fine line to walk when you are, someone told me it's a Black person of privilege. Bitch, I don't have any privilege. I'm Black. There is no privilege in my life. So, but there is a fine line to walk when you are a Black person that has a little wealth. And so, because you want to expose your children to greatness, but you also want to keep them grounded.
Yeah.
So I went into a conversation with her who has the dialect of a non-traditional dialect. Let's just say that. Let's be real. So I told her that, mom is just who I am. And whether I'm at an event with dad or I'm at a function for an organization that I belong in, what people have always said to me is that they know that I'm going to be authentic. You're going to get the real answer from me. And even though there are circumstances and times where you do have to code switch, it's just part of our norm. The reality is it's not how I say it, it's what I'm saying. The content is not going to change.
Right.
And I recall sitting at a function in a southern state where racism and the hierarchy of where you belong in society still exists. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting next to, I assume, a wealthy white woman. And she told me, she's saying something to me. I can't recall because I'm old and I can't remember. But I said, I know I said shit. And she told me, she says, oh my gosh, do you know who you're married to? And do you know you can't say that? And me being authentic was like, you shouldn't me. I can't say shit. I mean, what is it about me? I can't say shit. And I know that I have to say shit. I know she said shit. You have to be who you are regardless, because at the end of the day, what you contribute to society is great, but how you feel about what you're doing and that contribution and how you feel about yourself is what matters the most. Because all that shit out there in society, I'm not bringing that home with me. I'm bringing me home with me. And right. I have to be happy and content with who I am. So I can't get caught up in how people are going to judge me. It really doesn't matter. And I know that sounds really simple to say, but it really doesn't. I as a single mom or a stay-at-home mom, I had a nanny. People were like, what the fuck you got a nanny for? Because, bitch, I'm old, I'm tired, and I'm sleepy. What you mean why I got a nanny? Look, Chloe, don't blink too hard because you're going to miss my housekeepers walking in and up and out of here. You have to do what makes your life easier and what makes life good for you. And whatever that means, it has to be on your terms. You can't let society dictate that for you.
Right. And I think moreover, just tying everything together. I mean, I love that your episode is going to be one of the ones that closes out this season. But the fact is, we started the season by saying, you got to figure out who you are. Right.
Really
you got to figure out who you are. You got to set some boundaries in place, whether you have children or you don't have children, and, you're married. There have to be some boundaries in place on how you operate your life, the types of things that you allow, that your outside influences, and especially when you have children, and modifying that to your level. Right. So, not feeling bad that, like, right now I can't afford a housekeeper. Okay. Would I have one if I could? I would have 2, 3, or 4 of them.
Absolutely.
Sure would. So it's like making sure that in each phase that you maximize, first of all, the joy in it, right? Because we can always say, I would be so much happier if, you don't have it. So are you going to be happy now? You be grateful for the things that you have now. And then when you're able to get to a better place, then you appreciate it so much more.
So much more.
You don't take things for granted. And then you figure out who you are. And at a certain point, you get beyond what people think. You get beyond what people say, because you will never please everyone. It will never happen. It will never happen. And if you always live your life trying to please people, you will be exhausted and still unhappy.
Yes. Yeah. Exhausted, AKA tired as fuck. So you can't do it. You can't. And some people learn that lesson early on. Like you said, some people are born with that. And some people through experiences learn it. And I, as a mom, people say, I want my children to be happy, healthy, I want them to be smart, all that. I want my children to be real, because all that other stuff's going to come. Just be authentic, be who you are, and that don't mean go buy you some hair, some eyelashes, and that's not what I mean, because look, I mean, be authentic within, be authentic to yourself,
and
don't
whatever it is you like, whatever it is you like. Right. Whatever it is you like. And I think one of the things that I try to do as much as possible anyway, is to encourage the things that my children enjoy individually. One child may really be into arts and crafts. The other child just straight up drama all day long, singing, driving me up a doggone wall. Other child, but tailoring your parenting individually, where you're celebrating that child individually and not trying to make them into something that you felt like you were missing or that you want them to be.
Honestly, it's easy to get caught up in that, to make them out to be someone that you want them to be, as opposed to celebrating who they are. All three of mine are completely different.
Same.
And that's the joy in it, I never really know what to expect. And I also learned that through therapy, because Black people go to therapy. And so I learned that for my children, that we can easily internalize who we think that they are. And that is who we judge them by. So I could say, one of my children love to dress up as a clown. Hell, she might. I don't know. I'm just making it up. But let's just say she loves to dress up as a clown. I can convince myself that this is my silly child. And that will come off in my interaction with that child. And so we can define them without knowing that that's what we're doing. So instead of setting the boundaries for them, let's let them set the boundaries so that we can then interact on what they need and let them be authentic to themselves. It's hard. Parenting is not just wake up, feed you, go to school, bedtime story, go to bed. It's really not just that, Not
at all.
I have one daughter who's just like me. Her mouth is just like, I know she's cussing me out under her breath. I know, and that's cool. Just don't let me hear it.
I mean, and I want to make sure that I parenthetically insert that just because we say celebrate that child or let them set their own boundaries doesn't mean that they don't have boundaries. Absolutely. Because we are still very much mamas. Okay, M-A, like I will toss your narrow behind out that window if you speak to me in a disrespectful tone.
Absolutely.
But celebrating what they are naturally drawn towards, because I feel like, God places in all of us just a natural thing, the things that make us us, and somewhere along the way we lose that. But also to not use your children as another form of validation for yourself. It's super easy to hide behind. And this whole season, we've talked about filters, right? So uncensoring means exposure. It means you're showing people who you really are. You cannot hide behind your kids and be like, oh, my child's the valedictorian. Those are great accomplishments, but those are accomplished and they speak to your parenting, but
Absolutely.
they do not define you as a person.
No.
So you can't use that as validation.
No, you cannot. Absolutely not.
My little Johnny goes to Yale.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, something you said that really hit for me was you can't lose yourself. And so I will say that in the midst of being married to someone that is high profile and that's high profile. I think I lost myself in the whole motherhood thing. So, and I think we all do this. And I don't think that it's just because you're married to someone high profile, but he wasn't around. And because he was traveling, working, and I was defined not by what I set up, but what other people perceived about me. And so I was defined as his wife, and I was defined as the mother. And I got to the point where sometimes I noticed that other parents knew my children's names, but didn't know my name.
Right.
And I'm just like, well, what the fuck, am I invisible? And you know how sometimes you say you walk through a mirror, and I did walk past the mirror and I didn't know myself. I didn't recognize myself. I actually had gotten to that point and I didn't like it. I was like, what the fuck? This is not me. Yeah. So ironically, we have very traditional roles in our home. People say, well, you know, you're so outspoken. My husband's the opposite of me. He's very soft-spoken and we even each other out. So, you know, but I lost myself. I lost myself in this whole the rat race of motherhood and being a spouse, that I lost Jennifer. And then I'm like, okay, well, I lost me. Where the fuck am I? Where did I go? And then I had the nerve to feel guilty for trying to find myself.
Right. Like, what is that mess?
Girl. Yes. I was like, look, Jesus.
Listen.
That's right.
And I said it in another episode that I haven't yet released yet, but I will tell you, I had an entire meltdown in this house. I was like, nobody cares about me. You all just take, all of you. But the reality was,
I've been there.
I picked up way more than anybody ever asked me to do. So I had to start putting that stuff down.
Yes.
I created that environment where nobody had to think about anything.
Same here.
And it took some getting used to, because he was like, so you just gonna sit there?
Right.
I
did the exact same
thing. And while you're in there, would you grab me a cool beverage? I was like 7, not 8 ice cubes. Make sure it's 7.
Yeah, the same thing happened to me. And it was difficult for me to bring it back around because my husband was always traveling, always gone doing something. So it was extremely difficult for me. So, you know, a lot of my time, I would spend the day with my children. And then at night, I would have to get dressed to go to a function. And I'm like, I'm not feeling this shit. Yeah. But I had to, you know, step it up. And in the midst of that, I'm like, well, where is the Jennifer time? So it got, and I am a designator. So I like to designate what you're going to do because although my home is a traditional home, my children thrive off of structure and structure. And I'm really strong about that. I'm not sure if it's the teacher in me or the mother in me, but to this day, my children have schedules. So, and they thrive off of that because especially my youngest child, he's only 6. So if he was to ask me, you know, what do I do next one more time, it was going to be like ugly.
Oh, I know. We got schedules up in here, things in the bathroom, refrigerator, all of it.
So we have the schedule. And so when we had moved south, and I hated it. I hated moving south. It was not me, but it was just not who I am. I could have a summer home there, but I can't live there. And it was probably one of the worst times ever of my life. But I think it was during that time I really saw that I was not myself. And so then when we moved back north, I said, okay, I'm going to get all my scruples, get everything in order, and get what I need to help my life function the way that I need it. And that meant taking girl trips. That meant going out for lunch when the kids were at school instead of doing household stuff. That meant having the nanny pick up from school some days because they were really going to be okay because you were going to see me later on.
Lord, if I mean anything to you.
Right, absolutely. So, and I have a martini, so you don't want me coming to your school after I have martini. So let's just be real. I'll meet you at home, okay?
Stop it. Hilarious.
So all that helped me find myself again. And I think the biggest part for me, because I am such a mom, is that I had to release that guilt of not being there 24/7.
That mom guilt is super real.
Yes. I'm like, what in the world? Yeah. So my kids they went on a camping trip with their school. And I was supposed to go out of town with my husband because I do travel with him. Well, I used to do it more when the children were really younger. And so they were like, well, Mom, you can't go because you won't be able to pick us up when we get back from our camping trip. I'm like, no, the nanny got a car. We'll be there. And I was set, ready to go. And that mom guilt kicked in. And I was like, look, I can't go while my kids are away at camp. Thank God I didn't, because one of my daughters ended up having an asthma attack. But typically, I am starting to put myself first, because without mama, what the hell y'all gonna be? I cook, I clean, I wipe your butt, I clean your nose. So you need to let mom take care of herself. Guess what I did today that I typically don't do? I took a motherfucking nap.
You took a nap?
Yeah, I took a nap.
Girl.
Yes, I did. And I feel good. Look,
I'm put that on my bucket list.
Yes, I lost my bone. Look, yes. So you're not going to even get an opportunity to come up in here. And if I pretend that I hear you, I'm going to act like I don't. So look, it was good.
But I think that is so necessary. Yes. And that's one of the things that I will continue to reiterate is the fact that, scaling it to your life, right? So when you had the twins, going and having martinis in the morning was probably not something that you could do, right? But my point is for those of you that are listening is to make sure that you put yourself back on that to-do list, and that you schedule those things. You figure out stuff for everybody else. Figure it out for yourself and find something that you can do that's just for you. Because if you don't, and you keep saying, oh, when the kids go to school, or when the kids get to elementary school, then, or as soon as this happens, then, no, do it now on some sizable level, because if not, something else will always take that time.
And, and I say that too. My husband and I say that to each other, that we don't have, I can't wait 20 years down the line. I'll be too old. I'll be in a nursing home by then. So for us as older parents, we have to find a way to make all of that happen now. To be able to be the best parents we can be, as well as be good to ourselves and enjoy our lives outside of the children.
Right.
And the funny thing is, my kids seem to enjoy when I'm enjoying myself. They seem happier when they know that I'm happy. If I'm coming in all jacked up and janky and looking all upset, I'm just human nature. You're going to take it out on somebody else, and they're going to see that, and they're going to feel that, and you don't want that. You don't want children to feel that way. So if mom needs to step away for a minute, for whatever it is, I do that.
You got to.
I had to learn it, though. So I'm not going to say it came out the womb like that. It took some, and actually, when my son was born in 2013, I had gone to Target one day. I'd gone to Target because we love Target. Moms love Target. And I wasn't feeling well. And I was exhausted because he was not a sleeper. And my husband was working, most of the time. And I had gone to Target, and I remember I passed out. And because I remember sitting in the chair, the manager had given me something to drink and to pepped me back up. And I made it home. My mom was there with my son. And I think my girls were in school or something. I can't recall. But she's like, well, what's wrong with your face? I'm like, well, what do you mean? My face had tilted. By the time I made it to the bathroom, my words were slurring. And like, my mom's like, what's going on? I had enough sense where I texted my doctor at the time. And I told her that I wasn't feeling well. My face was something was going on. But she apparently texted my husband, and they came and rushed me to the doctor, the hospital, the ER. And I had a transient stroke.
Yeah.
And it turns out that it was from pure exhaustion. And it was caused literally from pure exhaustion. And I don't believe that it was age-related. I was just really tired. Yeah. I was extremely tired. And I had a son that wasn't sleeping. I had 2 toddlers that I had to make sure were taken care of. I couldn't drive because I had a C-section. And I had the nanny, my neighbor, my mom. Everybody was helping me. And it still wasn't enough because this little boy would not sleep. And I was home with him, and they weren't all home with me at night. And it just caught up with me. It caught up with me. And I think that was one of the defining moments that changed my life. It was rough, And I remember how I felt after I came out of it. Because it was only for a while. And it had me all over the place. And I remember when I came out of it and we made it back home, I remember saying to myself that I had to do something different. Yeah. I couldn't let this happen because today it was a transient stroke. Tomorrow it could be a real stroke, or it could be something worse. Right. And that leads me back to that you have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself so that you can be there for everyone else. Yeah. Granted, our home, like I said, is a traditional home, but mom does most of the things with the children, takes care of the household. And in that tradition, because my husband isn't around a lot, I'm doing extra things that I wouldn't typically do. Right. And all that weighed on me. And so that's why I can help them. And I'm okay with hiring people to come and help me. And if you can't hire somebody to help you, shit, don't do it.
That's what I said. Put it down. Sis, put the laundry down. Okay. Yes. I will sleep like a lamb. If there are clean clothes in that bed, I will dig for panties, but I'm not going to sleep if there are dishes in the sink. Find your thing, and whatever that thing is, do that one thing, put those kids to bed, and take your behind the bed because but it'll still be there tomorrow. Okay. And if it don't get done tomorrow, it'll eventually get done. And I said, if your spouse is that bothered by it, then they can do it. Okay. Oh. I'm extremely type A, and so that was difficult for me to let go. Me too. So, right. Oh, that's right. You are type A. So it's really hard to let go of. And I still hold on to doing a lot myself, but my girls are 11 now, and so they can do more around the house. My son, his little ass is only 6. And how did I get a 6-year-old? Listen, 6-year-olds have the perfect hand size to fold a washcloth. Maddox can fold a mean washcloth. Okay, he always corn his meat. And I'll put him in the closet because bless his little pea-picking heart, he won't put them up on that shelf like he needs to. Yeah. But if those clothes are sitting there and it's towel and washcloth day, he can fold the washcloths, he can fold the hand towels. Get those kids to help you. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's in some way they can help, whatever it is. And so especially now during the COVID pandemic, we've lost our household help. So I don't have a nanny. I don't have my housekeepers. And all that shit still has to get done. Mm-hmm. So in the schedule, we have designated people to do things. You have to do this, you have to do, do your chores. And they seem happy about it. So I'm like, okay. And initially when this whole pandemic hit, I was cooking 3 meals a day and doing 2 snacks. Oh, ma'am. And I'm like, no, this isn't going to work. So in the mornings, they're having cereal. In the afternoon, they may have leftovers from the day before. And dinner is, I'm typically going to cook some type of dinner, except either on a Friday or Saturday, we're going to order out because mom needs a rest. But, this being at home has taught me a lot
And it's so funny because you think that, oh my gosh, I'm in such a really good place. And then it's like, well, damn, I didn't know that. I didn't know I could do this. I didn't know. And so I'm always learning something new. And my kids are like, well, Mom, you come up with these new ideas. I'm like, yeah, and you like them, don't you? And they're like, yeah.
Figure out what the necessities are, right?
Absolutely.
You get down to the necessities. Like my kids have to earn their technology time.
Okay.
But to do that, there are certain things. So when I was growing up, we had chores. I had a chore sheet and I had to do it because I had to do it. And if not, I was in trouble, period. But for my kids, we bought this fake money on Amazon, and each household thing has a value attached to it. So you get up in the morning, you make your bed, you make sure your room is straight. It's X amount of dollars. And to buy your tablet for the day costs $50,
Right.
50 fake dollars or whatever. So everybody has an opportunity. You can do the min, right? And then you do that thing every day, or you could do extra one day and spare yourself another day. You save your money up. And it also, could add up if they wanted to buy Roblox or whatever that crap is. But the point is, everybody is a contributor in this household on some level or some degree, because I'm like, determined, y'all not going to kill me. Okay. Y'all not going to kill me. And I'm going to keep, hopefully my skin, they say black don't crack, my jeans okay. But, I don't want to be looking like y'all drug me. Your daddy all fine. Right. Y'all look good because you're going to age and ain't going to be but 20 years old. And I'm looking all old and broke apart. Yeah.
Yes.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Can't let that happen.
But I want to be sensitive and respectful of the time that you are gifting me away from your family. So,
oh, girl, I will stay here all day.
But I've been asking this of every guest that I've had this season, and you, of course, are no different. And so I want to ask you, what does the Mrs. Beside mean to you?
Mm-hmm. So, I think that the cliche of, if behind every good husband is a wife, or however we've changed it to fit today's times, beside every good husband is a wife. In some cases, I'm walking for now.
That's right.
Right. Follow me, mother.
Right.
So I think that for me, it's more personal. So, I love my husband and proud of him and all of his accolades. And he works really hard to take care of our family. And I can honestly say, without a doubt, there is nothing that I want for or that I need for. And he is a hard-working Black man. And I mean that. And so I appreciate that he does that.
Yeah.
But not taken away from that, he has an entire team that helps him accomplish his job. And when I look back at me, I think for me, it's more personal. It's more about me. Mm-hmm. It's more about not being beside someone, in front of, next to, walking behind. It's more about just being me. Let me be me.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean let me be the mom, let me be the wife. It's let me be Jennifer.
Right.
And Jennifer is so important in this puzzle of this family because, my contribution to this family is priceless.
Yeah.
And it's valuable. And I need to be the best version of Jennifer so I can be the best wife, so I can be the best mother, so I can be the best daughter, so I can be the best friend. And it all starts with being the best me.
Yeah.
And so I think it's more personal for me. It's not about me giving to everybody else, because I really do give to everyone. I'm the friend that takes the secrets to the grave type person. So, I through this whole journey, the biggest lesson for me is finding my true identity and being completely authentic to myself, whatever that means. If that means that I have to be outspoken, if that means that I curse. That's just what I do. I don't smoke weed. I don't do crime. But that's my vice. That is my vice. It has always been my vice. So I can be at a black tie event and have on a $3,000 dress, but you might get a fuck out of me. You might hear me say shit, but that's just authentically who I am. I don't mean any harm by it. And if you are offended by it, then you are saying that you are offended by my authentic self. And it's great. And just as another story, I remember I had gone to another function and I walked in. Everyone was there. I was late because the damn kids had me running late. And so
every time.
Right. I get there late, and this lady says to me, older white lady from the South. I was probably the second African-American person in the group. And she was at a whole nother table. I was like, girl, you knew you were supposed to save me a seat so we could sit together. But I was late. Yes. And the lady looked at me. She had to have been 30 years my senior, so I'm always going to be respectful. Mm-hmm. But she said, how did you get here? This was a special, right? It was a special lunch, and I was already in a bad place because of the damn kids had made me late. And I looked at her and I said, you know what? I slept with the boss.
Great, man.
I did, because at that time my husband was the boss. He just said no. But I'm just like, it's just not, you don't really have to say that to me. So that wasn't, probably wasn't nice, but it was pretty authentic. You come for me, sometimes there will be a little shade.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it. No, I do.
You do. You mean
I mean it how it comes out. But she meant what she said to me.
Of course she did. She wanted to know how your...
Right, black ass. Okay. What? I mean, bitch, I walked, got Uber. What? What do you mean?
She said I stowed away on the cart, service cart.
Absolutely. So, and there have been times where, the stigma of, you are the stay-at-home mom. You don't have a career. You're not intelligent. You are a kept woman. For me, it's backwards because I had the career first, and then I became a mom. But everyone doesn't know that. And I remember sitting out with my children at a restaurant at a different function, and they were 2. And because I was the crazy mom that believed that I had to teach my children how to read early, because if I did, they were never going to learn how to read in life. I completely think differently now. But this lady sat next to me, and my children started to read the menu. It was impressive shit. They were 2. And I was like, get mom's favorite meal, baby. And so the lady
done with you. I'm so done with you.
So this lady was sitting next to me, and she's like, oh, they are so smart like their dad. Yes, I kid you not. And I was like, yeah, because I'm stupid as fuck, And so she looked at me like, what? I was like, if you say something stupid like that, I'm going to have to come back at you with something that's just as stupid. So it's that perception of you're a stay-at-home mom. You have to, just like you said, you marry a wealthy man. Motherfucker, I didn't come into this marriage with zeros in my bank account. So I said I worked for 20 years.
20.
Absolutely. So, I've had to get over that stigma, but it was more so them having to get over it than me having to really get over it.
But I think that exists on both sides of the spectrum, whether you're younger with children or whether you're older with children. Like I've gotten I wouldn't call them compliments. I've gotten comments like, oh, your children are so well behaved. It's like, as opposed to
bad as fuck.
I mean, should they be standing on the table? Like, I will chop them in the throat. They're not allowed to act like that at home. They're not allowed to act like that in public. And that's not to say anything about anybody whose kids might. I've carried a stiff child out of a Kohl's one day because she didn't go to the bathroom. So it's like, I've had my mom moments. So, you cannot go in with a predisposition, but I think moreover, releasing other people's ideologies about what your situation should look like. You have no idea the amount of work that I've put in, the amount of hours, the amount of tears that I've shed, the nights that I went without sleep because my husband wasn't here. So when I pull up in my Bentley truck,
Yes.
Your eyes can stay crossed, sis, because it's gonna be clean. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that I've put in the time.
Yeah.
So again, I admire you so much, and I thank you very much for being with me today. Your wisdom is infinite, and I cannot wait until.
That's way for saying you got some old stuff to say because you old.
So right now you're reading too much into it. Just take the compliment. You got wisdom. Okay, you're smart. Dang, some people they just don't want you to live. Okay, they don't want to take compliments.
Infer all this stuff.
Don't infer nothing. I don't mix words. I said what I said.
Yes, you do. Absolutely. I love that about you.
We've been on enough Zooms now, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
But thank you again so much for being with me today, Jennifer. And mimosas on you next time, okay?
Thank you, Jamia. Absolutely. Take care, sweetheart.
All right.